Day 57 of This Much Is True. And what is true is tomorrow is the last day of February. Wow. Just realised that now. Time is knocking on since we started this on January the 2nd. How are you? I hope everything's going well in your nooks and cranny of the world, wherever you may be listening to this. There are a handful of you, and maybe more that just don't engage. That's okay. Remember, if you do want to do so, comments below here on YouTube. Or why not make my day and email thismuchistrue@protonmail.com. Oh, the joy, Susan, when you sent me that mail last week. Susan in lovely Yorkshire. Forgive me, folks. I've just been out to night classes tonight. Very beneficial, in fact, because the classes are all about publishing of digital books and stuff, which I have one or two, but never really got around to marketing them. In fact, I was kind of toying with the idea of maybe reading The Man Who Chased Joggers in segments. Now, it would be a while to get through it all, 140,000 words of it, on YouTube. You know, as even a loss leader, I'm not expecting it to sell loads, but I always liked the idea behind The Man Who Chased Joggers, which I won't go into now. The blurb is there. I put a link to it a couple of episodes ago. Just if you want, just check out, go Amazon, The Man Who Chased Joggers, and all the blurb is there. Oh, I put so much of myself into that little exercise. Today, the rudder's off the boat slightly, so I will be meandering about in a soup of my own mind. Yeah, there's all kinds of everything in it, because it's just stuff that strikes me and maybe I can share with you. You can resonate with it or not. Love songs. There were some beautiful ones, not just the classic ones that you've all kind of know, but occasionally some hit you, especially at maybe a vulnerable time in your life, or even just those wonderful teenage years when you get all that lovey-dovey stuff, as Bono in U2 once said. I love a song by a band called Liverpool Express called So What. You should check it out. It's here on YouTube. And it's basically this guy putting a brave face on the fact that he's been dumped. I hate that word, dumped. I remember overhearing it one time. Mark's been dumped. Oh, God. But, yeah, wouldn't have been the first time either. Then again, you're either the dumper or the dumpee. I've been in both camps in my time. And none of them are particularly enviable positions to be in, are they? I suppose if you're dumped, yeah, your world can implode. But if you're the dumper, you've probably moved on to somebody else, so your romantic world is about to open up again. Or else you just didn't hit it off. Or you grew out of it. There are a variety of reasons for love. There's love itself, mutual love. Then there's the unrequited love, probably the most painful of all. Yeah, what's that got to do with Liverpool Express from the 1970s? Well, it's a song about a guy, as I said, who's been kicked in the nuts, and he's putting a brave face on it, and he's saying, so what? That he, you know, his replacement takes you fancy places on a Saturday night. So what? So he's 10 foot tall, so what? But his heart is breaking. Do check it out. Yeah, I'm too lazy to put it on, to tag it on to this video tonight. I had self-imposed taboos when it came to relationships. Here's one that'll make you laugh. Many, many years ago, I was getting the signals from my best friend's sister, who I have to say was quite hot and remains indeed a hot woman. Not a loose one, an attractive woman. But it was years ago, and I was a few years older than her, but not that much. And yeah, I was in, you know. But I had some ridiculous self-imposed rule. I said, no, I'm not going to go out with my best friend's sister. Not even his girl, my best friend's sister. And you know, ironically, she was actually his half-sister. So there wasn't a blood relationship there as such. Not that it should matter anyway. But, you know, in retrospect, she was his half-sister. And I just got on with, found other honeys to hang out with. And then a few years back, I was only married at the time, and we went to an Eagles concert in Dublin. If he's looking at this, he's gonna know. And next minute, there's my best friend walking with his arm wrapped around my sister, my blood sister. Not that it makes any difference, but he hadn't got a problem with it at all. It didn't last, but still. Oh, not at all. He had no scruples, did you? No, listen, my glasses not are getting steamed up. They're dustied up. By the way, watch out for, I know you're going to think, but there's orbs around this place. Now, yes, it's possible there could be dust. Although I do a lot of dusting. But I've seen stuff when I play this camera back, not for vanity reasons, just to make sure it's recorded. I see little, and they fly around like. Keep an eye out for them. Who knows what this studio was built on? What? In fact, I met, see, right across the road, you know the way there's the quintessential big house? There's a big house by a very well-to-do, relatively young man. And his wife and his kids live there. It's beautiful, and its own grounds and everything. But it was the big house, still is, but it was the big house way back. It was built in 1845. And I met someone who knew this area in the 50s and 60s, and he said, see where your house is? That used to be a tennis court. So now, there's always some verbal history, isn't there? Maybe it's the ghost of old tennis players past, whacking their balls around my studio, their astral balls, which is a good title for tonight's show, because it's a load of balls that have just come to me, various things, but I do want to inflict them on you, if that's okay. If you have your own to contribute in relation to love and all the rest of it, it can be a very maddening thing, can't it? Or maddening. Or madding. Far from the madding crowd. Love, especially, you know, there's like, I think the most dangerous form of it is, you know, that kind of obsession. I don't really like that word. There's another one, isn't there? An infatuation. That's the most dangerous of all, I think. The unrequited will bring you to your knees and break your heart. The infatuation, I think, can drive you mad. And years can go by and you'll go, what was all that about? Why was I so infatuated with somebody to the point where you could lose your mind if you weren't careful? And I think that's where we become men and women. I mean, if you can make it through that, you'll make it through anything, because the key is to hold it together. And it's not easy when you're thinking about somebody 24/7 around the clock without a break. And, oh yeah, that's not good. So that isn't good. And I think the most destructive of all, the one that does drive people to crimes of passion, probably as a byproduct of infatuation, would be a jealous rage, jealousy. I mean, jealousy is the biggest put down of the self. It really is. If you're jealous, you really need to take a rain check. You got to get a grip on that green-eyed monster. It'll kill you every time. And unfortunately, it's often killed a lot of innocent people as well. If I can't have so-and-so, you're not going to have them. Or you get in a stupid fight or physical fight. Or something stupid. That's how David Bowie got the, which became his trademark, got his pupil different colour in his eye, because he was having a fight with a friend of his over a girl, and the guy threw a punch, and hence David Bowie's eye was changed forever into that iconic look. But yeah, so love is love. All you need is love. Any love is good love, a line out of my favourite song probably of all time. You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet by Bachman Turner Overdrive. Love Times Love, George Benson. Yeah. Crazy Kind of Love. Was that the Mindbenders or someone? Reg Presley, was it? Yeah. Oh, love is all around. Love is in the air. Every sight and every sound. Yeah. So it's easy to be wistful about it and to look back and with a wink, as you should when you get to a certain stage of your life. Look back at the world and give it a wink. And you had me there back then or whatever. If you're lucky enough, you'll have a good marriage as well. And marriages can go up and go down. But when they work, you're each other's DNA. It's weird. And, you know, when I first got married, it was one of these, we were married within a year of meeting each other. Now, I'm not the only one. My best friend did something similar. But it is a kind of crazy leap to take. And it can often be for the worse. Sure, I remember for a while, we were lucky insofar as when we wanted our kids, we had our kids. So we did take 5 years to really, we were young professionals. It was a nice time. And we'd go anywhere we wanted to go pretty much. And dual income, no kids, dinkies. Isn't that what they used to call them? But luckily, you know, you don't know someone really within a year. But it felt right. And with all the peaks and troughs and all the rest of it. I remember acting like a total dick early in my marriage by, you know, not pulling my weight, like ironing and stuff like that. You know, a bit of a mummy's boy where everything used to be done for me. And you do get that with guys that get married and still think they can live like a bachelor. And really, especially when kids come into the equation. Anyway, it just sounds like I'm lecturing and I don't mean to. I'm really just thrashing about looking for a bit of communication from you guys. If you've got any stories about that, it would be interesting to share. You can be anonymous. How about that? Just let's know what happened or what went down and what was funny or what was totally heartbreaking. Do check out that song, So What, by Liverpool Express. Another one from the same era would be Every Day Hurts a Little More by Sad Cafe. Again, bands you probably didn't hear of. Check that one out. Every Day Hurts a Little More. Beautiful lyrics. Again, you're in the moment with this guy. Of course, there are classics. Everyone knows some really good love song. I think as well, I'm not sure you'd classify it as a love song, but I don't want to be morbid, but I have 2 songs I want played at my funeral. And maybe I'll go off that idea, but I've always had them in my head. And one of them is by Genesis. Remember Genesis? And it's called Follow You, Follow Me. And it's a love song of sorts, but it's a haunting. It's beautiful. And speaking of a haunting song as well, check out I Go to Sleep by The Pretenders. Beautiful, haunting melody. You can feel the love in it. But anyway, back to Genesis. Sounds like the Bible. But the strings at the beginning of that just bring me back to 1978 or so when it was this beautiful song, Follow You, Follow Me. And I remember just as a schoolboy coming down from the top of Parnell Square, which is in the news there for all the wrong reasons a few months back. I used to go to school up there. And coming down, passing by Carl Brewis Street, and he was a little record shop very near the Gresham Hotel, which is world famous, or was. And I'd look in the window, and this is when you had small little record shops, and I used to see that album. And then there were 3, it was called, because I think it was it was referring to the fact that Peter Gabriel was no more with them. But of course, as you all know, that Phil Collins, the drummer, just took the show to a whole new level, and he was the vocalist on Follow You, Follow Me. Will I repeat these songs again I've been mentioning, just in case you want to make a little note? So What by Liverpool Express, Every Day Hurts by Sad Cafe, I Go to Sleep by The Pretenders, Follow You, Follow Me by Genesis. Do you want to know the other song? Well, some people would call it cheesy. I just love it. It's a song that always brought me up. And I remember when I first heard it, and I was a young DJ at the time, I remember a sister of mine saying, I really like this song, and I kind of gone, what? Because it was a real one-hit wonder, but if you're going to have a one-hit wonder, make it a bloody good one. And it's Dolce Vita by Ryan Paris, who's still knocking around. And it's a happy song. And if you ever look at the video on YouTube, Dolce Vita, Ryan Paris, he's in the city of Paris. Actually, he is by birth, I believe, an Italian. But it's there in that, and there's a real 80s vibe, and the camera is not in a pervy way, but it spots beautiful women in the crowd. And I don't know if you get away with that these days. I'm not sure if the permission was granted or not, but it just picks out beautiful girls and women, and, you know, spotlights on them for a few seconds, and then it moves, and then there's a scene where he's dancing. He's got these two lovely short shorts, roller skaters, and he's whirling them around. Check it out. It's a lovely song. And so there, I don't want to go there because I had my brush with death, and who knows. But yeah, Follow You, Follow Me, and Dolce Vita. Maybe I'll cancel that request. I don't want to be thinking about funerals yet. You probably think I'm talking a load of old crap tonight, but it is nice to talk with you. If I could just share a story about my pussy. Ooh, pardon. Yeah, Marvin is an old man now. He's, I think in cat years, he's about 73. And he's shown signs. Now, Marvin is like, I put Marvin on TikTok and he just takes off. People love him because he's a tuxedo cat. They're very smart, apparently. And he really talks to you. If you say something to him, he meows back. And he's different, like, tonations of meow as well. So you kind of know, I have a conversation with him. But anyway, he wasn't looking too great this morning. He was in his little basket. And I noticed the head was trembling. The head was, you know, like Irish mammies years ago used to do. The head used to always be rocking back and forth. No, yes, indeed. I remember seeing Steve Coogan do that. He did it very well. He was able to do the owl head going up and down. You clean behind your ears. Now I'm warning you. But the poor old head was trembling. So I thought, he's got a fever. There might be something wrong. And I did give him a rub on his head. And I noticed he had these kind of raised. I'd say he was in a fight, probably. That's what it is. He's here all day, but who knows where he goes in the wee small hours. He does cat stuff, and occasionally I'll catch him down the estate somewhere. So he goes off in his cat business, but largely he's here. So I would hope Marvin clings on. He seems to be okay tonight, but I'd like to see Marvin last a bit longer, please, because not only do I love him, the family loves him. One of my daughters in particular loves him so much. The other one loves him as well. But Franny, I know you love Marvin. So let's just recap on the day. Finish that big project I was talking to you about on Sunday night at the audiobook. Today I had a few chest pains, but I don't think they're necessarily heart related. They are to the sides a bit, and they're not that sharp as such. I think a lot of it's a bit of stress as well. I do put myself under a lot of stress. And then to the night class tonight, it was great because I get to meet people, and I don't normally get out of here. I'm always asking people to go for coffee, but they don't want to, for whatever reason. You don't want to come across as needy either, but you do need people, and that's why I like our time together here on This Much Is True. And say hello again to my favourite people, who would be Nigel and Susan and Mike and Jerry and Ray. Yeah, and I don't mean to leave anybody out at all, but you guys jump out at me. Keeping the show on the road, like and subscribe and all that, and if it makes sense to you, great. If it doesn't, hell, I'm sorry. What can I do? So yeah, I know what else I wanted to say. I have an awful habit of talking myself in circles, and I'll tell you I'm about to tell you something and then I forget to tell you. And I know I went there last night. And I was talking about the time I pretty much cracked up, but was able to the rest of the world, excuse me, to the rest of the world, I was functioning. And I related, of course, via a song again. I said, remember there was a song and it said, don't tell your secrets to a friend. They all desert you in the end. It doesn't sound like the song, but they were the lyrics. It was by Flock of Seagulls. I remember that. And when I don't really want to go there again about me and the big D, depression, not diarrhea, although I have verbal that. No, the point I wanted to make last night, and of course went off in a tangent and forgot about it, was, so I was sitting down with a coffee with this guy. He'd been a customer of mine. And I often would make friends with my clients. So, times had changed, and he knew me as a very kind of dynamic, always happy individual. But when I saw him, when I'd fallen on my own sword kind of thing, we were having a coffee somewhere, and I was telling him what I told you last night about going, getting dressed in the morning and then not being able to handle it and getting straight into bed once everyone had gone to school and work, and lying there in a fitful state, perspiring and not functioning properly. All those wasted days, I could tell you, folks. And then, put on a lot of weight as well. And I told him that in confidence. And, okay, he didn't name me as such, but he decided he wanted to set up a training academy. This guy can barely talk with ignorance, but he had some acumen in business. And he was, let's call him Tom. Now, every time I met Tom, Tom was as happy as Larry. But then I met Tom, and my God, he had changed. He looked like he'd eaten a child. And he told me that he used to get up in the morning, put on his suit and make sure everyone was out, and then he'd go back to the house and I went, you fucking cunt. Excuse my vernacular. I told you that in confidence. Didn't say it to him, of course, and like nobody was the wiser of it. But you want to be very, very careful at times who you would open your heart to. Because suddenly I was, that to me was a cup of coffee with a friend. I'd shared some private information with myself, a confidence, if you like. And that's a freaking fly flying around the studio. That's new. But anyway, yeah. And here it is. It's material for his latest, failing podcast. Speaking of podcasts, on my class tonight, I think Spotify might be the way to go. I think the camera and I will continue on YouTube if I keep these podcasts going. But I have all the equipment to do a really top what-how show for you guys, probably on Spotify. I don't know if you feel good about music, but Spotify, apparently, you can play anything you want as long as it's on the Spotify platform. No royalties. You can make a really good music show. And that's something I'd like to do. I appreciate it's not for everybody, but then again, you can, by all accounts, I keep forgetting my plurals recently. By all accounts, you can have multiple podcasts. It's just where I'd get the time for multiple ones. I mean, I love the whole paranormal thing, as you can probably tell 2 episodes ago. I love music, and I like stories. I think I am making some of your ears bleed, and I probably will get off the stage. And you can help me by telling me your stories. This much is true at protonmail.com, or the comments below. You can be anonymous. It would be nice if you please share, if you shared. So look, it's a mellow Marco. It's been a long day. It's certainly been a long few weeks. So why don't you just go to bed tonight and do me a favor? If you've got a nice bed, right? My wife really She'll make up the bed. I'll offer to help, but I make a balls of it. So she will change the bed every so often. And I woke up early this morning, very early actually. I was around 5:45. I was itching to nearly come down here. Then by 8 o'clock I was nearly comatose again. But as I was lying there, in that kind of early morning, wee small hours gloom, I noticed, now this is again when you get older, folks, I just noticed how beautiful and decorative the embroidery on the pillowcases was. My wife has very good taste in such things. I would normally not give these things a second glance or thought, but here I was, admiring the symmetry and design of the embroidery on the pillowcases. This is going nowhere, is it? Tell you what, I'll leave you and love you. Your mission, if you want to do a bit of homework, is go find So What by Liverpool Express. They're all here on YouTube. Check out Every Day Hurts by Sad Cafe. I Go to Sleep by The Pretenders. And why not do me a funereal favour? No, I'm not going to stop using that word, Mark. Funeral. No. And play Follow You, Follow Me by Genesis. And if you want, feedback would be good. Good night.